bloggers to influencers, and from trendsetters to models, the streets of New York are filled with fabulous people turning heads for their creative and brilliant looks. It's time for Men's Fashion Week, and even though it's called Fashion Week, it's actually only 3 days. But 3 days completely filled with the newest menswear and the coolest styles. And I can't wait to see what the designers have in store for us. So welcome to New York and welcome to Cinémoi.
We kick things off in the Big Apple by having a chat with a face you might remember from some of our other Cinémoi Fashion Week visits.
We are standing backstage at the David Koller show here in New York, and I'm standing next to Marcelo. How are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you guys doing today? I'm very excited that you guys were able to make it here. We are coming out with this amazing proposal about the show. David Koller is one of the most phenomenal, talented designers we ever worked with. So essentially he's bringing this 90s kind of look, New York City party scene from the 90s with that grungy look, you know, almost like Billie Eilish translated to the main fashion. So probably it's like he's emphasizing that the outside people, us, the rest of us, we actually are the new cool.
Born in Slovakia and raised in Canada, it's actually rising style star Koller himself that's the new cool.
Let's go.
Guess who just came here? The men of the hour. Come over here. So this is David. I'm gonna leave you guys with the men of the hour right now. Bye guys, I'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? You just walked in, or?
Yeah, I just walked in. I was here earlier just to make sure all the models were here. But yeah, I'm excited. It should be a good show.
How is New York Fashion Week men's for you?
Yeah, so you know it's funny. So we're from Toronto, from Canada, and I've always wanted to do New York Fashion Week. And you know, there's a lot of good designers out of New York. And for me, you know, one of my, I guess, goals and dreams to do New York Fashion Week. So this is our debut show, so I'm excited so far.
As Marcelo mentioned, this season, David was inspired by the fashion of the 90s.
So, you know, before like going into actually creating the pieces, I kind of worked backwards. I was doing a lot of research of like what I want this collection to be. You know what really inspired me? I was listening to a lot of like Kurt Cobain music, and that was really big in the 90s. And I was really analyzing, I was watching his concerts. Even in the concert, I was watching what people were wearing watching his concert, right? So that was kind of a vibe that I was going for. So I was doing that, and then I was looking at what he was wearing, and I looked at similar artists like him in that era. And I'm trying to recreate that in this collection for this Fall Winter 20.
It's the tale of two cities, Hong Kong and Helsinki, which meet in London. Ki Chao and Jarno Lepanen are the creative duo behind London's new generation fashion label Kawaki. And I spoke to the designers backstage just before the presentation. So how was your division in roles in the creative duo?
So we create things together, we design things together, but I focus on more on the technical side of the garments. And because you're from the art background, so he's more on like doing like shows and marketing and PR and things like that.
Can you tell me a bit about the new collection?
Well, very heavily inspired by the Little Prince and stories and the kind of like complexity of humanity, and as well as the representation is kind of like leaning that way.
The guys may each have their creative niche in the company, but neither of them does hair.
We are backstage at the Kawaki show, and this is key hairstylist Dan Nguyen. Can you tell me a bit about the concept of today?
Yes, it was Kawaki collection for autumn winter 20.
is inspired by this beautiful novel, French novel, Little Prince. So it's a dichotomy between innocence and adulthood. So we wanted to make, for the hair, we wanted to be very playful, childlike, but still very considered.
Of course, even at Fashion Week, the new generation of designers aren't bound by the old ways of doing things.
And I like the fact that you are using male and female models. Is that something that is normal nowadays, or is that still a trend?
To be honest, we don't actually take care of, I don't know, we don't care of gender that much. Yeah, regardless of you're male or female, we kind of want to show that, okay, you can be a twin, regardless of your age or your sex. That's our kind of like our core values.
We're here at my Autumn 20 presentation at New York Men's Day in New York City, part of Men's Fashion Week.
American designer David Hart loves to put a fresh twist on classic menswear. For Fall/Winter 2020, he used an earthy autumnal color palette of richly textured fabrics, accented with pops of gold, red, and floral embroidery.
And what do you find of the vintage trend that we see in David Hart's collection?
I think it's super cool. I'm always about going for a vintage look, so I think David Hart is like spot on with that. And he's always inspired by history, so I think that's super cool.
So this season, I didn't really want to feel like we were consuming anything, so I went into my own archive of past seasons and my vintage archive and kind of paired everything together with this idea of like not creating anything new. So yeah, the retro vibes are definitely there.
What do you find of the fact that David says, as a designer, he doesn't want to produce that much clothes?
That's amazing. We have to recycle. Our planet needs it. And the fashion industry, us being leaders, have a responsibility. So I applaud him. And I can't wait to buy and support him.
You know, this really is, I think, a snapshot of our time and like how guys are dressing, because people aren't dressing necessarily in head-to-toe one designer anymore. You know, they're going out, buying things on the secondary market, implementing it into their current wardrobe and creating really cool looks with their own personal style.
We're standing backstage at the Aaron Potts show. Aaron.
Hello.
What can we expect of today?
So today, what you're gonna expect today is we started with this really gorgeous color palette. It's primarily black, and then I layered on all these shades of green, from jade to sort of avocado color, and what I consider kind of ugly colors, but put together, I think it makes something sort of vibrant.
Elsewhere backstage, Aaron's team were getting ready to strut their stuff.
Today we are at a presentation for APOTS. It's going to be pretty interesting, you know. We got a ton of good looks here. I was actually at the fitting the other day, so I'm really proud of the designer and what he's done, and it's going to be a good show today.
It's the New York Fashion Week men's, but you also have women.
I do. So this is actually my debut in any fashion week. So I got the opportunity to show with New York Men's Day, which I'm so grateful for. And they allowed me to show unisex so that I could show my collection how I envision it. So I have, I think, about 8 beautiful women in the show. And we have them in unisex, and we also have them in a small capsule of dresses that I added to the collection.
So today we did a very, very shimmering eye gloss on all the male model and the female models. And we want to have a bridge in between because it's a unisex collection. So some male model will have some eyeshadow, some female model will have some contour, and it's like a very fun concept.
Is that a trend that you see as a makeup artist?
I would say so, because now the trend is more unisex. It's very open, it's all about creativities, and I personally always love the dewy look, so yeah.
Hi, this is Pa, and you're watching Cinémoi.
During this Men's Fashion Week, there are more presentations than shows, but here we are at the show of Pa. Pa stands for founders Peter and Elle, who met through mutual friends, and they both share the love for food, music, and fabrics. They thought it would be fun to work on a project together, and they decided to make some hats. Not only because they are both passionate about headwear, they also wanted to start small and make something simple and do it good. Well, they sure did, as they are here showing their newest collection at New York Fashion Week. You started with a collection of hats?
We actually launched the brand the same day 7 years ago, coincidentally. And we started with 3 hats and just let it build every season and added styles. I mean, we wanted to have a full collection from the beginning, but we wanted to start small and just simple and just let it naturally do its thing, you know.
Pa is best described as sportswear with a twist. It's even been called fashion for the sports dad.
People associate us with like dad styles and stuff. I mean, he's a dad. I have a dog, but it's not really so direct of a, yeah.
That's something we really want to push. I think, I just want people to appreciate the stuff we're doing, the clothes, and not really put us in a box. Mm-hmm. If they like to have a label, that's cool, but I think, we just want to make timeless, classic clothing.
Pa is a relatively new brand, with Peter and Al doing pretty much everything themselves. In their latest collection, there are a couple of things in the designs that they're particularly proud of.
I think our knits are, what a lot of people come to us for these days, and, we do a nice heavyweight tee that people like, but we're starting to expand that. We're doing a heavyweight polo sweatshirt, football tee with some cool fabric, texture blocking, and as far as in the knits realm, like our socks and hosiery is something we really love.
Peter and Al are 2 rising stars in the fashion world. They've found their niche, and it seems more and more people are starting to appreciate it. We also hit a couple of less formal presentations around the city, including one from a retro label making their big return to the Fashion Week stage.
Le Tigre is a heritage brand. We started in 1977 and we made a comeback this year. So we relaunched in the beginning of 2019 and we're doing our retro new collection.
Tell me a bit about the brand, Le Tigre. What do you know about it?
Le Tigre, I'm not too familiar. I do know that they're like a brand from a few years back and they're kind of coming back in style, which is pretty fresh because, I don't know, this stuff looks hot. And it's really cozy too, so I don't know, I love sportswear, so far, I love it.
So we're taking our old heritage looks and putting a modern twist on it. So we're using a lot of color blocking, a lot of bright, fun colors. We're being tongue-in-cheek, and just showing a really bright, fun line.
And from sporty, we shift to sophisticated at the Timo Wyland event.
It's classic with a modern twist, very, crisp with vitality, still colorful, but still very versatile in the way that it could be an everyday uniform, but, with our own twist.
Can you tell me a bit about the models?
Yeah, so the cast is very much congruent with, we love, celebrating diversity and age, not specific and non-gender specific. And so that's really something that we are very, interested in.
From Italy to Morocco, each collection begins with inspiration designer Victor Lee got out of his travel adventures, resulting into signature pieces that combine handsome timeless tailoring with a fresh and inventive palette. Made from local quality fabrics and personal illustrations drawn by the designer himself, the garments turn into wearable memories. Victor's skill for visual storytelling uniquely sets the brand apart and invites a new generation of fashion lovers to take the journey with him.
I'm a big fan of Victor Lee, so I wanted to see what he was going to have for fall 2020.
I really like how classic and timeless it is, and I really like the suiting pieces. I think it's really nice.
I love the new collection. I've already collaborated with Victor Lee in our shoots. I'm a stylist. I really love white tags, the patterns, the colors. Everything is super amazing, and I love the collection.
He has the corduroys, but then with the corduroys he has like butterflies, and he's incorporating like a lot of embroidery on it and patchwork, and I really like that. Plus it's like a fun color, it's off-white, and you know, I love the corduroy. It can keep you warm and you still can look good.
I want to say that it's very fresh, it's very new. I want to say it's very hip and young. You could see it like running from a subway that was delayed onto a whole nother cart. That's how I feel it's gonna go places. It's ready to move.
Victor Lee's show was well loved by the critics, and for good reason, we might add, as it was a mesmerizing runway. We'd love to share more of it, but time's up and we're moving on to Kenneth Nicholson.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Nicholson, and you're watching Cinémoi.
And Kenneth here has a wonderful collection to show. Before it started, though, we first met up with NFL player Nolan Carroll, who was in the audience and had no idea what was about to hit him.
I don't know yet. You never know from these shows. You know, sometimes you get some dark stuff, sometimes you get some colorful stuff, sometimes you just get mix and match. But that's what it's really about. It's not about wearing the full, the lineup of clothes. It's more about pieces put together in certain things, in certain ways you wear, whether it's jackets, jeans or shoes or hats, whatever it might be. And you like to just mix and match from that stuff. That's what I like to do a lot of the times. I never really like to wear the whole getup.
Whatever Nolan was expecting, two boxers covered in glitter pretending to spar with each other probably wasn't at the top of that list.
So it's right after the show. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel fulfilled. I feel thrilled. I'm so excited and happy about all of the positive reviews and comments, and it's great. It's great.
So, we've got casual but slickly dressed models strutting their stuff next to those massive sparkly boxers. What's the inspiration behind this collection?
It's about a mix of things. It's about different textures, different colors, different palettes, all coexisting in harmony together beautifully. So the name of the show was From Grandmother's Couch, and so I was just thinking about, if you sit on your grandmother's couch, what are the things that you see? Do you see a beaded lamp, a floral curtain, maybe a latchik rug? And so I was taking all of those elements and putting them, and what do you hear? You know, for my grandmother, it was always, maybe classic movies and gospel music, so I just wanted to kind of mold that all and make a really great experience.
And how did the boxers fit Grandma's couch?
Okay, well, the boxers kind of symbolize just the beauty and the tension that comes in life. So, as an optimist, I just feel like in life you have to acknowledge the difficult times. But I feel like there's always beauty that you can extract from those difficult times. And so we had these very masculine gladiator-like boxers, but they were covered in glitter, which represents there's beauty that can come of the struggle.
And it's things like this that keep fashion interesting. Boxers on a runway, that's a first for us. We can't wait for Kenneth's next collection to see what kind of stunt he'll pull off then. We've met quite a few designers already in this episode, but the next one we're about to introduce is something else. At 21 years of age, Carter Altman, founder of the brand Carter Young, truly is a fashion prodigy.
You're pretty young, so I'm very impressed that you're showing at New York Fashion Week. How does it make you feel? Is that like a goal or?
It's pretty exciting. My grandma came out for this, so she's somewhere in the crowd. But it's been a whirlwind trying to get it set up, so I'm just now taking it in. But very happy to be able to present the collection.
And it's not just Grandma Altman in the crowd. A lot of relatives were present. Among them, Carter's mom, who remembers all too well when her son got into designing.
Yes. In fact, it's a big story in our family. When he was 13, we were having a party for him, and we were making T-shirts for the party. And I had an idea of what the T-shirt should look like, and he had an idea. And I always say, I didn't quite trust his design skills. So I kind of took some of his ideas and ran with it. Now knowing what he's capable of, we laugh about that story, because he would have blown my shirt out of the water.
This edition of New York Fashion Week had a lot of designers showing their collections through presentations rather than on classic runways. Carter, too, opted to go this route.
What's really important about presentations that you don't get with the traditional runway presentation is that people can, number one, spend more time with the clothes, but also that you can see things interacting in the world as you would if you were to wear them or see them out. I think there's a lens of realism that's added to the clothes and life that's breathed into them that's just a little too removed in a more traditional style of looking at a collection.
Now, how did this rising star break through? Because getting invited to show at such a prestigious event at just 21 is pretty impressive.
I'd say the most important thing to remember is that if you are creating something, you should let your voice and your unique vision shine through, and don't let anyone tell you how it should be. You know, if you're establishing your own path, follow it through and see how it comes out.
This episode is almost a wrap. There are just two more designers we feel deserve an honorable mention. First up, there's Eden Slezen, founder of Mind on Denim. Before he got into fashion, Eden had a pretty diverse career.
I was a plant molecular engineer, I was a Marine Corps officer, I still am a professional outdoorsman, like I do guiding trips. And so I kind of like, for the collection and for my designs, I just pull from like all the things that I've done. Yeah. And at one point I decided, we were in a trip to Rio, and we were so inspired by the clothes that me and my best friend, we came back and we were like, let's make clothing. And we started, but I didn't know how to do anything, and we were making like tank tops. I didn't even know how to make like a pattern. So I went to the Academy of Art and got my master's in fashion, and at the end of that, I got to show at New York Fashion Week, and then this line, the ready-to-wear version of a lot of the stuff inspired for this line is kind of the result of that long process. The whole collection is sustainable, and so that's based on like my love for the outdoors, and I just wanted to do something that was like a tribute to that. So it's all natural fibers, organic cotton, hemp, natural indigo, or no dyes. Like all the prints are hand done. They're not done with any dyeing or anything like that. And using recycled materials, recycled denim, and then it's all like locally sourced, ethical labor, just anything I can do to help make fashion a better industry.
And last but not least, Pablo Leon graced New York with an extravagant collection. He didn't first try his luck as a botanist, Marine Corps officer, or professional hiker, though. Pablo knew fashion was his thing from a very early age.
From a young age, my aunt would take care of my sister and I. My cousin and my sister would play with Barbies. Me as a boy, I wasn't allowed to. The only way that I would be able to play with them is to grab scraps from my aunt, who was a seamstress, and create clothes for their Barbies. And that's really something that stuck with me for a very long time. And up until today, I feel like that's the memory that I always come back to as my beginning, as my start in fashion.
All eyes were on a very skilled ballet dancer during the presentation, who was wearing pieces from Pablo's collection. This welcome distraction was dreamed up by the designer's agent.
He brought up the idea of possibly using Giovanni Ferlin, who is a soloist at the New York City Ballet. For me, it went hand in hand. It was the perfect mix of emotion within the dance itself and then the clothes.
Well, that's it for this Men's Fashion Week here in the Big Apple. I hope it inspires you to wear whatever you want and what makes you feel confident in your own skin. Because to me, that is the biggest trend of the new season, to not follow trends at all and be your own unique self. Thank you for watching Cinémoi. See you soon!